What is up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Driven. My name is Rivers Pierce, and I am here with the notorious Rob Hahn from
What's up, everybody?
From Houston, Texas, which he has not seen in a couple of weeks now.
No, it's since last Thursday.
It has been a mess, and hopefully everything's okay.
So, I mean, hopefully, obviously some of our friends in the city is really hurting, but...
Yeah. Well, we're glad to have you here. So here are...
we're in your town.
We're in my town.
Yeah.
This hasn't happened before. We are in Greenville, South Carolina. Rob is here for the South Carolina Realtors Association annual...
Some event.
And I said, look, you're 3 hours from Charleston. It's my hometown. I'm going to come up. Let's film. So we're going to drive around a little bit and talk about real estate and whatever else comes up. We'll start the trip here, and we are in, lovely Greenville, South Carolina. And
it is lovely.
It is. It's quite green. So, so Rob, you are here to talk to the SC Realtors about what are you talking about?
I've got two presentations. One's on industry disruption, and the other one is on the future of brokerage.
So you're here talking about the future of brokerage and industry disruption. Let's touch on a little bit of both of those.
Sure.
So boy, we could talk for hours on each one, right?
We probably could, and hopefully we'll argue a little bit.
So
you know a thing or two about the brokerage industry.
Yes.
And so I'll just lay out my basic thesis.
Okay.
At least the brokerage part. The industry disruption thing, it's stuff that may not happen.
Sure.
Who the hell knows?
But you are famous for your predictions.
I am, although I'm batting 175 or something crazy. So maybe I should stop doing that. Basic thesis is that the traditional brokerage is dead or dying. Mm-hmm. What replaces them, I think, next is the 100% shops.
The 100% shops. So,
the Realty Ones, HomeSmart, Fathom. There's a company down in Florida and New York that's really big. I can't remember their name off the top of my head. There's JP and Associates in Dallas. Mm-hmm. There are dozens of them. Yep. But the two biggest right now are Realty One and HomeSmart. So I figure they replace traditional brokerage. Mm-hmm. Or for that matter, what could happen is you see the older brokerages flip to that model. Okay.
Right.
But either way, they're going to be 100%.
So the 100% model, let's break it down for those that don't know. How do they make any money?
Transaction fees.
Transaction fees. So they've got to be doing enough volume to where it makes sense for a broker to actually have a model like that.
Correct. They have to have enough volume, they have to have enough head count.
Yes.
And they have to have a cost structure that is really lean.
Okay.
Right? So that becomes one of the major challenges of brokerage.
Is that potentially doing away with the office?
No. I mean, so this
where
is one
do you
of the
get lean?
This is one of the probably layers of management.
Bureaucracy.
That's probably where it goes.
Sure.
Office gets lean too, but just to give an example, I did a tour of HomeSmart, and they're one of the largest 100% brokerages out there, and they have physical offices. What they don't have is a receptionist. Instead, they have like a video camera, and then a big TV screen, and there's a receptionist who sits remotely. Right?
Okay.
But she can do everything that you would expect a receptionist to do.
Okay.
And it makes sense because, how many realtors are sitting in the office, waiting for someone to come visit?
Right, the desk duty thing is dying as well. And eventually that receptionist will probably just be some AI bot.
Correct. Right? So this is the halfway step where you go, walk up and somebody comes on the screen and goes, how may I help you? Who are you to see?
Right. Max headroom.
Yeah, it's actually kind of neat. So they have offices.
Okay.
And one of the points that I'm making is this notion that you get what you pay for ain't exactly true anymore in the brokerage world.
How so?
So let's say you're at a traditional office on an 80-20 split. What exactly do you get for your 20%? I mean, a lot of these guys are your clients, or the agents who work at those brokers are your clients at BoomTown. Mm-hmm. So you know the deal. What do you actually get for your money? Training, technology, And the issue is this: the 100% guys will offer same level, if not better, technology, same level, if not better, training, same level, if not better, branding materials or marketing material, whatever else. So it's actually this bizarre thing where And this is, I guess, the complicated way of thinking about it. The advance in technology, efficiency technology, CRM.
Yep.
Frankly, a lot of stuff like BoomTown. Right?
Sure. Yeah.
That made it possible for a brokerage to offer brokerage services at a much lower cost. But the RE/MAX model that's been around for 40 years really hasn't changed.
Sure.
So when I look at it, the logical endpoint of the RE/MAX Keller Williams, the whole traditional model, is 100%. That's a logical endpoint.
And so the technology, where the traditional broker doesn't have much incentive to give office-wide technology, brokerage-wide technology, the incentive for the 100%er is that it allows them to scale more efficiently. And
it's not even that. It's that it costs them less, right? In other words, whether you're traditional 100%, whatever, offering office-wide technology, company-wide technology, costs the same, right?
Right.
But the cost of technology is not that high.
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
Especially if you're going with a system like ours. Now you're trying to build your own Salesforce or something like that, but that's kind of on its way out.
Right. And frankly, and all I'm saying is like the cost of technology keeps going down.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, and the example I like to use is 2004. It's not even that long ago.
Yeah.
Okay?
Right.
Like 2004, a color laser printer was like 20 grand. Okay.
Right. Okay.
So if you're an agent, you want to do color, flyers.
Yeah.
Having a brokerage that invested in that kind of thing was valuable.
Yeah.
And you're not, as an individual, you can't afford that.
Right.
Today, you could pick one up at Walmart for $200.
Yeah. Right.
So,
right.
It's a lot of things like that. And then you can get into things like CRM and so on and so forth. And I'm like, and you know this, and you're in the software business.
Yeah.
The cost of software keeps going down.
No, I was I did a presentation a couple weeks ago with at Tom Ferry's thing, and I was talking about database management, and I was like, you are doing yourself a disservice by not using this type of technology, because the cost barrier is so low that if you want to win and you want to scale, you have to do this.
Right.
Like, it's just part of doing business now.
Right. Right. And it's just, so that being the case, I think the issue really is that the traditional brokers, right? And by that I mean, any sort of split-based brokerage.
Sure. Any
sort of split-based.
Sure.
It's been nice. I mean, it's really fat margins.
It's been a good run.
It's been a good run. But these new 100% guys are realizing we're just fine making our margins on whatever 4% or whatever it is they're doing.
So that's obviously in a stark contrast to a Keller Williams team that's doing a 50-50 split with that team leader.
Exactly. And that's actually part of the story, right? Part of the story is that the agent team is eating the brokerage from within. There's very little doubt about it.
And so,
and the industry is finally caught up. I mean, one of the things I'm talking about tomorrow is back in 2012. I just found this.
Okay.
I found the presentation from 2012 where I said agent teams are the single biggest threat to brokerages. Right. Now, if you remember 2012, what everybody was talking about was how Zillow was going to totally bankrupt the industry.
Yes.
And I remember saying Zillow doesn't do squat to the industry.
Right.
But the agent team does.
I think we were all, you, me, Greer, a lot of us that were in it at that time. I mean, BoomTown was built a lot on teams.
Right. That's right. We saw the team.
We saw it coming.
Yeah. So I remember doing that.
So does the 100% broker benefit from the team model?
There's no question, right? Because here's the other thing: if you're a team, the thing about the team model. We're not talking about like husband and wife quote.
No, right.
We're talking about brokerage within
the real
brokerage.
Specialized
lead agent
operations.
Right. The Ben Kinneys, the Sue Adlers, the Craig Northrops.
Yes.
Yeah, so you have a lead agent, and then you've got a team of buyer agents.
Yep.
In some cases, you have listing agents, inside salespeople, all of those things, right?
Yep.
They're all on these 50-50 splits.
Yep.
And how are they able to do that? It's actually really simple, really straightforward.
How's the team leader able to?
How is
they provide
Craig
everything? Technology,
leads. So does a broker. That's it.
They control the lead.
They control the leads.
Yeah.
And brokers don't. And as a result, the way I look at it, the contemporary, modern North American real estate brokerage is actually not in the real estate business.
They're in the
recruiting and retention business.
Right.
They don't generate
the leads.
Is the agent. Their customer is the agent. Yeah. And the problem is, when you get to a certain level where you are a strong enough agent, to be able to form a team, you're typically a very strong listing agent.
Right.
You've been in business long enough.
Right.
So, you know, when brokers are like, we'll give you this training, most of these guys are exactly the folks who should be doing the training. Like,
yeah, sure.
You know, our good friend Sue, like,
right.
she teaches these classes. Like, she wrote the book on customer service.
Yeah,
like, what is she gonna learn from a broker training, right? So that's not valuable. You know, technology. Okay, yes, there's some value there. The problem is, name one technology today that an agent could not buy for herself. Not BoomTown, right? I mean, you guys built your business on agents and agent teams.
Yeah, right? we can be a brokerage solution.
You can, but you know what I'm saying? It's not like I'm unable to buy BoomTown. I'm saying, what is the one technology I cannot buy?
Not anymore.
Right, I can't think of one, right?
And there's really no reason you shouldn't be buying something off the shelf anyway, in my opinion. But also,
but even if it's custom work, like, it's not that expensive.
No.
You know, we're not talking millions of dollars.
No. So
there's nothing.
So the 100%ers are the disruptors to the brokerage model.
Well, it's that the agent teams are the disruptors.
Okay.
But fact is, the ultimate logic of the Remax model goes to 100%. Ultimately, it's, you know, no fees, no desk fees, no commission splits, none of that, just transaction fee.
So how does a Keller Williams adapt to something like that, knowing that they've built? Is that, do you think, where their technology play comes into place?
No, I think their technology comes into place for the second part, because I don't think the 100% shop is the ultimate future. I think it's the next wave.
I
think that's how things change.
So it's the middle period.
It's the middle period. I like to call it, you know, for Game of Thrones fans.
Yes.
It's like Tommen.
So eventually it's going to step out the window.
Well, it's a very short-lived reign.
Indeed. So
sorry if I spoiled anything for any.
That was a few seasons back.
So if you haven't watched that by now, you're probably, you know, whatever. Anyway,
so then, do you have the next? Who's coming?
Who's next?
Is Cersei? Who's taking over the throne now?
Yeah, I think it's Redfin.
Redfin.
I think it's Redfin.
Good segue. So
I think it's Redfin and competitors like them.
Redfin just massive IPO.
Massive IPO. Their last I checked, their market cap is $2 billion.
So they're still doing great.
Still doing
They're
good.
Doing better than Snapchat has done.
And their metrics are scary.
Why Redfin?
A lot of reasons, but they're a technology company.
They are,
right? That happens to make money from commissions. But, you know, in like the post that I wrote about Redfin, I feel like my biggest insight, my biggest aha, is Redfin's not a brokerage. At least the way we understand brokerage today.
And how is that?
Because they're not in the recruiting and retention business. They're actually in the real estate business. Right. And Redfin controls the lead flow.
They do.
Which then says Redfin's actually an agent team.
Yes, I remember this.
You know, and instead of a lead agent with a huge network, Redfin has a website.
Yes.
But they're an agent team.
They have a great website and great products.
Yeah.
Consumer-facing products.
Right. And they're an agent team that's even better than most agent teams because their people are employees.
They are. And they are actual W-2 employees.
They are W-2 employees with benefits and health
and so
plans.
Then people would say, well, what's the incentive? Real estate's, the sales-driven, commission-driven, independent incentive business,
I think that is such a I think that's just a misconception. Those are the elite agents. Those are the elite few.
Yes.
The 5-10% are the driven,
Yeah.
You know, can't go. But the vast majority, I think they would be happy to get a paycheck.
Yeah.
And a health plan. Are you kidding me? So I think that's...
And I've kind of argued that a little bit, that's the appeal of the Keller Williams team as well. That you can walk in and it's kind of like having a job.
Kind of, except you don't have health plan, you don't have expense reimbursement.
But you nobody just says sit down and start calling. You've got training, you've got support, you've got operational infrastructure.
As an aside, by the way, one of the issues there, and finally people are starting to wake up to it, and I've been talking about this for a couple of years, I'm pretty sure that every agent team in America right now is breaking the law.
How is that?
They're breaking labor law. Their buyer agents are in no way, shape, or form independent independent contractors.
Right. They have to be
employees.
They have to be at sales meetings. They have to do certain things.
They have to use the team's systems.
Yep.
They have to put the data into the team's database. Like those are employees. And anybody watching, if you are in California, for example, you might want to call an attorney. You might actually want to start putting your buyer agents as W-2s.
Have you been writing about that?
I've been talking about it for a while.
Yeah. And if you guys don't read his blog, Notorious Rob, what's the website?
Notorious Rob.
Is there a hyphen in there?
There is, but just Google it.
Yeah.
There used to be a DJ named Notorious Rob.
Okay.
I think I've outranked him after 7 years of 8 years of doing this now.
Controversial, titillating real estate blogging.
So what I'm going to talk about tomorrow. So Redfin is really quite a serious competitor, and I think brokers and the industry have just sort of been lulled by them.
Yeah,
because they just kind of kept their head down. They don't, they
were so busy focusing on Zillow that they didn't focus on the next door neighbor in Seattle.
Right. And here's the other thing that I think is just so funny is Zillow's not out there trying to take your business.
No.
Redfin is.
Right.
Redfin's actually going after your listings.
They explicitly said that.
Right. And they say we're a brokerage. I'm like, yes, great.
Right. We are not an advertising company.
No, we are a brokerage.
Sure.
And I feel like the industry slept on because they don't have market share, right? It's like, well, whatever, they have no market share. They're a discount brokerage and you get what you pay for, and they don't recreate the top agents. Yada yada. And I'm like, that's all true. That's all true. But there are a few numbers that I want to just tell you.
Okay, all right.
And here's a few. 1, 35 million.
35 million.
What is that number? Would you know? Okay. That's what Redfin spent last year on technology and development. Not their overall budget.
Right.
Just on technology.
Okay.
Is there a single brokerage in our industry that's spending $35 million a year on tech?
No. Keller Williams said they set aside $1 billion.
They set aside $1 billion. Right. But is that $1 billion for the year?
Yeah.
$1 billion over 30 years? Like, what are we talking about?
Sure.
Right? Number 1.
Okay.
Number 2, 350,000.
Okay.
That number is the average revenue, not sales.
Okay.
Not GCI, company dollar revenue that Redfin gets for every one of their agents.
And how many agents do they have?
736 or something at the time of IPO. So
that's not too bad.
But forget the number. I'm just saying. Can you think of another brokerage that's averaging 350 grand in company dollar?
Right.
Per agent?
No, absolutely.
Come on, right? 34. That's the number of transactions that one of your agents does on average.
Which is what, 3x?
It's
4x, but your average.
Yeah, it's roughly 4 times what at least NRT does. Right?
Yeah.
And I have to go by public numbers, right?
Yeah.
Because I can't, disclose numbers of like actual clients and stuff like that. But so I think they're really, really serious competitor. And now they're a $2 billion public company. And I just heard Glenn speak at in Arizona. He was like, "Oh, it's not that big a deal. We raised more money than this before going public, so it's not like we have all this much more money.
Yep.
We're not that dangerous." I'm like, "Okay, Glenn."
Right.
So that's the Redfin thing.
All right. So Redfin has quietly snuck in, and so I was thinking, like, what are some things that people have been obsessing about and worrying about that have allowed things like Redfin to slip in? And
I mean, obviously, I've been talking about this for years, but the whole like obsession about Zillow and the portals and people are making money from our data thing is just nonsense.
Right.
It's a total distraction, and one that quite frankly Redfin is using right now to establish some competitive advantage for itself. And here's something I found funny. So again, in this conversation, sort of the position that Redfin has is the MLS should do more to protect the data of the brokers. And one of the specific things they want is more, and he was using words that I'm not sure exactly what you mean, but it sounded like sort of authorship. So sort of like using authorship or relationship tags to get Google juice. And I'm sitting here going, okay, that's actually fair.
Sure.
Totally fair.
Sure.
And I agree with him.
And Google just being SEO benefits of having the right metadata that allows them to get credit for it, which allows them to outrank most people.
Right. And I totally get it. And it's fair at a level of principle. What I kept thinking about though was how many brokers in that room, even if you went and like handed them on a silver platter all the Google juice magic, how many of them could do anything with it?
Right.
Right. I mean, you guys do a hell of a lot of SEO work, so you know how complicated that is. How many brokers in the country could actually do something with that,
or even understand what that means?
Right. And I'm like, Redfin can.
They can. Redfin can. Zillow can.
Right.
Trulia can.
Right.
Realtor can.
Realtor can.
Yeah.
Other than that, like, is like home services.
Right.
Long and Foster. Like how many?
Maybe in some pockets. Right.
Vendors. I mean, so now you're relying on vendors.
Yep.
Right. Which I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I feel like we're entering a really exciting period. But so let me just close the thought out. It's like, okay, so on the one hand, you've got the 100% shops.
Yep.
Which is agent team empowered. On the other hand, you have Redfin. And Redfin's just a giant agent team that's going to try and take market share in every market they're in. And I think they're going to be pretty successful because they're growing at levels that I've not seen a large brokerage grow at.
And
like 44% revenue growth year over year.
Right.
Who's doing that?
And then, I mean, maybe that's not sustainable for the long run, but it is as they're moving into new markets, right?
Think about this. Redfin's doing that in one of the best seller markets we've ever seen.
That's true.
And we know the market's going to turn.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So
and I guess then the question comes down to people say, well, the consumer wants a better experience.
Yeah.
Well, does the consumer really care at the end of the day about all the things that a lot of these people say they care about? Like they want efficiency.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a reason why the iBuyer thing has merit.
Yeah.
It has some legs to it.
Yeah.
So.
The paranoia around iBuyer thing to me is I don't understand it. Maybe, like, do you understand it?
No, I don't really
I don't
either.
understand it.
Because it's not for everyone. But if I need to move and I'm willing to, I know it's all black and white. Like I'm gonna pay more.
Right.
But I'm also paying for convenience.
Right. I mean, I just don't get the paranoia. It's like, oh, this is Zillow or whoever inserting themselves between the consumer and me. And I'm kind of like, listen, especially when we're talking about listings.
Yeah. Not
buyers, like listings.
Sure.
If a website can get between the consumer and you don't have a relationship with that person.
I was about to say,
you're a nobody.
Maybe you need to look in the mirror.
Yeah, it's like you're not dating. Like,
that's true.
It's like Tinder's gonna get between me and my wife. No, actually, it's not. Because if Tinder's gonna get in there, that's probably not your wife.
Yeah.
It's true. I mean, look, I said this on a blog post. Like, I have an agent.
Right.
Like, I have my realtor.
Yes. Right.
Blaine.
Yeah.
Like, so I don't care what iBuyer's out there. I just pick up the phone, call Blaine. Hey, Blaine, I'm thinking of selling my house.
Right. And you know what that's going to cost.
I know what's going to cost. I know what the experience is going to be.
But if I want to sell my house quickly because I got to move, or I just want to I'm ready to do it,
right,
and I don't feel like dealing with the headache, and I can do it in 3 days.
Right. But see, even then though, like, let's say I wanted to do that, and Open Door or iBuyer was in my market, that wouldn't go me going to Zillow or OpenDoor.com. That would go, hey Blaine, can you call Open Door and sell my house to him? Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
right. You still have a personal relationship.
So I'm like, if you're worried, then you ain't got no clients. Like, you don't have those relationships.
Right.
Do you know what I'm saying?
You're you're one of the top of the funnel lead chasing kind of agent.
Which you can do. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it.
Right, but it
don't get pissed off.
A scalable model. You have to eventually start working on your database.
Yeah.
And building relationships.
And so
lead gen is a means to an end.
Right. And I'm saying, the great realtors, they have those relationships. They don't have anything to worry about.
Right. So
I don't get the paranoia.
That's a nice segue, and I know you have some strong thoughts on this. That those agents, when the next apocalypse comes, right? Real estate, like we've ballooned up into what, 1.4 million real estate professionals now.
No, 1.3 million, 1.2, 1.3
close
million
like that.
Realtors. Right. Not necessarily real estate.
Which is where we were pre-bubble.
Yes.
And
I'm convinced we're in a bubble, by the way. I'm convinced of it.
Okay.
Not in all markets.
But
oh boy.
Some of them are going to pop.
If you live in Seattle, San Francisco, You know, Silicon Valley, LA, New York, Boston, Austin, Texas, Charleston, South Carolina.
Let's not go Charleston.
Charleston's in a bubble. I mean, think about it.
I just had my house reappraised, and I'm loving it. So hopefully it sticks.
Sell, top of the market. Anyway, all right. So okay.
But what happens? Those are the agents that are going to survive.
The great ones.
The ones that have relationships.
Yeah.
Because in that
absolutely.
world, the market will condense down. Redfin will take more market share. The iBuyer will take more market share, right? Does that logic follow that we go down to what is your ideal number?
The
quarter of a
ideal
million?
number? I don't know. I don't actually have an ideal number like that, but I look at it as how many agents does the economy really need?
Yeah.
You know,
right?
Like, what is a good number of average transactions, I suppose, you know, per agent?
Right.
You know, NAR says it's 11. That the average realtor does 11 transactions.
Right.
I find that really surprising.
I think
it's just 2 years. 2 years before that report, it was 6.
Yeah, it seems a little high.
Yeah, it seems high, but you know, okay, maybe there's a lot more business.
But then you got Redfin doing 34.
Each Redfin agent doing 34. So I don't know that there's an ideal number like that. I do think the issue is going to be much more when the next one pops. Quality versus quantity is going to be a really big issue. Right. So one of the instances, speaking of which, one of my first presentation on industry disruptors.
Yes. Let's talk about that.
One of the problems we have in the real estate industry is disruptor is synonymous for tech company.
Sure.
And it's nonsense.
Yes. Yeah, right.
It's utter nonsense.
Okay.
Like the number of times like every Inman Connect I go to, right? And I'm walking around like the sales floor, you know, some guys
vendor alley.
Yeah, some guys got like, I have an app that'll help you, I don't know,
unlock the door.
Schedule better tours when you're in the car.
Sure.
It's a total disruptor. No, it's not. It disrupts nothing. I mean, no.
It streamlines.
Yeah. We have a CRM that includes like short video clips. It's total disruption. No, it's not. It's not. Like, no.
So what is it?
It's
100% broker. Well, what is the disruptor?
So anyway, in this context, right, the greatest. All right, let me step back. So here's the issue. Here's how you got to think about disruption in real estate. Okay. Look at the fundamentals of real estate business, and they are these. One, it's a regulated industry.
Mm-hmm.
Every single person, agent, broker, they have a job because of permission from the government.
Mm-hmm.
Number two, it's a bizarre industry in that nothing that any of the market participants do affects the market.
How so?
Because the number of homes sold is entirely dependent on macroeconomic factors.
Okay.
Right. So if you think about it, even cars, right? If BMW drops the price on their cars, they'll sell more cars.
Yes.
Right? Because they'll create more demand. Or, whatever. I mean, you could affect the market. Real estate itself. Right. Real estate, there's nothing, like literally nothing that a broker or an agent, anybody can do to affect the market.
It would take a whole city or country lowering the prices of all the houses.
But even that like only happens because, things like employment and interest rates and currency, it's macroeconomic stuff that nobody controls. Like the Fed doesn't control it.
Yeah.
So it's a zero-sum game is what that means. Meaning the number of homes that are going to be sold and the price of those homes are not in the industry's control.
So it's all reactive. And if you take market share, somebody has to lose it. Right.
It's not like we're not going to increase the number of transactions.
Right.
Nothing the industry does will
even
increase.
with new home starts.
Doesn't matter. Nothing the industry does will affect the number of transactions. That is going to depend entirely on things like job numbers and macroeconomic factors. So when I look at it, I look for disruption in 2 places. 3 places really, but 2. One is government. The other is finance. And the third, I suppose, is technology that allows for capture of market share.
So let's break those down. Government meaning
if
change of administration type of thing?
No,
or
think about
change in regulation.
Yeah.
What interest rates?
Yeah.
Like,
no, just for example, if the IRS eliminated the 1099 exemption for real estate agents,
yes,
that's disruptive.
Okay.
No question.
Right.
If HUD or CFPB banned the sharing of commissions, overnight disruption.
Right.
So that's what I mean. Like we're so heavily regulated.
Okay.
That's what would happen.
So you said the government, what was it?
So finance.
Finance.
Right. And that was the whole open door thing. If we change the way that things are financed, total disruption.
Right.
Right. Which is why buyers, like, who cares? Because still lead gen. Okay.
Sure.
Open door, I'm looking at because they have the potential of changing the way things are financed.
Because they will buy the property,
right,
and they'll take on the risk.
And this is what I speculate. I haven't talked to those guys about it specifically, but imagine if Open Door is able to just do straight seller financing of all the homes in their inventory. That's a total disruptor. Because then, as a buyer, so as a seller, I know I'm gonna, leave some money at the table.
Yep.
But I could sell my house in 3 days.
Yep.
As a buyer, I could go, well, I know I'm probably paying a little bit more, but I don't have to go through a mortgage process.
Right. I don't have to go through all that stuff.
And I could close in 3 days.
Yeah.
That's a total disruptive game changer.
Yeah.
I'm saying finance, right? Is the other thing. I just saw something, I think it was on Facebook, on the internet, about like how blockchain might enable fractional ownership of homes. I haven't read it. I just saw the headline. I'm like, I'm not sure how that works, but that's potentially disruptive because it changes finance. Right.
Right.
And the third one, I suppose, is some sort of technology that allows for massive market share shifts. Right. Where it allows, and I think we've already seen that though. Right. With things like CRM, things like BoomTown, things like better communications. I mean, some of these
because
agent
you
teams,
can do much better work, and then you can grab more.
Think about some of these agent teams, right, that we were just mentioning. They're doing like hundreds of deals.
Oh no, I mean we have clients easily pushing 1,000 deals in one market.
Right.
My client Jeff Cohn in Omaha, he did 601. Makes a point. 601 transactions last year. He's already hit that
this year.
Okay,
so here's the question:
in Omaha,
were there more transactions in Omaha?
Maybe a few, but I'm sure not at the scale.
So he's taking market share.
Right.
So somebody in Omaha is doing less business.
Right.
Because he's doing more.
Because they're doing it better, faster, more efficiently.
Exactly.
Even despite any sort of no changes in regulation, finance, government.
Right. But that's, I mean, it's sort of disruptive, but is it really? Do you know what I mean?
Right. That's like incrementally taking a little bit bigger.
So I'm not entirely sure how I feel about that. So I guess it could be disruptive.
But it's disruptive, I guess, in the sense that when the bubble bursts, those people that lost that market share go away.
They go away. Yeah.
So
they go away. So, I mean, I feel like, so I guess an easy way of thinking about the future of brokerage comes down to this. And it goes back to kind of the whole, are you dating kind of deal, right?
Okay.
You either have relationships or technology will kill you. So you either have to have technology or you got to have relationships.
And if you have both, then you
wonderful, right? But, so in terms of thinking about technology, if you're not spending $35 million a year, and Redfin is, how do you have technology?
Sure.
What is it that you have?
Well, you have BoomTown, I hope.
But see, and this is, so I'm gonna flip the script a little bit. I want to start asking you some questions about it, like, because I have some concerns about the real estate technology sector going forward.
Okay.
In that, what happens to real estate technology? Right. Okay, like BoomTown is wonderful. It's great. Like every one of my friends who use BoomTown, they think it's awesome. But you guys do one thing, right?
We have some great services around our product, but in a sense,
In a sense. Whereas Redfin has the entire thing.
Yes. Right.
So if I want to compete, if I want to say, you know what, fuck the relationship.
That's fine.
Hell with the relationships. Right.
Right.
I just want to have technology.
I want technology, scale, volume.
Right.
Efficiency.
Right. So I go to BoomTown and I say, I want BoomTown. But I still need something that's going to do stuff like transaction management.
Right.
That's going to do e-signatures. That's going to do machine learning. That's going to do, CMAs. Like, how do I get that?
I would say we
How do I get that?
I say we were actually contemplating that already, and what we're moving towards with an open platform initiative is that we're all, I think you're naive to think at this point that you can build one system to rule them all, right?
Unless you're Redfin.
Unless you're Redfin.
Unless
right?
you're Redfin and you're spending $35 million a year.
Otherwise, you go with a company like a BoomTown, or the general concept that now that APIs are becoming ubiquitous, and that type of technology where you can have a more modular-based plug-and-play ecosystem around a central product, say like a BoomTown, where you can plug in a dot loop or a DocuSign, you know, whatever your e-signature might be if it's not related to that, whatever your forms are, whatever your you know, a dialer, a video email solution, a BombBomb, something like that, and you build your own ecosystem, much the way you would maybe build a car, you know, a custom-made car or something like that. That is the only way I think you're going to be able to compete at scale. And you know, we're heading in a direction, and I think a lot of people are as well, to facilitate to where, yes, as a small to mid-sized brokerage still can compete at a certain scale and deliver a streamlined solution.
So from that standpoint, right, and I understand that's what every vendor wants to do.
Yeah.
Every vendor wants to be Salesforce. They want to be the platform. But if we're in a world where we have Redfin, isn't that platform Zillow?
How so?
Because they've got the money.
They've got the money.
You know, like,
they've got the engineers.
I know BoomTown's very, you know, you guys are super successful.
Yeah.
Are you guys spending $35 million a year on technology?
I'm not going to
Okay, let me put that differently. Are you guys spending $250 million a year on technology? Because that's what Zillow spends.
Right, exactly.
And I look at that and I go, I feel like, I know, like CoreLogic wants to be the platform, you know. FBS wants to be the platform. You guys want to be, you know, Playster wants to be the platform. Everybody wants to be the platform. But there's only one company that's spending $250 million.
Right.
Why are they the platform? Why isn't everybody else plugging into that?
Right. The fear there is that at some point people will get over the fear of Zillow.
Right. I know.
And when that happens, when that happens, then you know there's some legs.
Okay, fine. So it's not. How about Realtor? They also spend a fair amount of money. You know, I'm like. So I feel like that's where we're headed to. You're right. I think whoever does become the platform, or maybe one of two platforms, like we have iPhone and Android,
right.
You know, maybe
like we have Zillow and Realtor,
maybe, right? Or maybe we have Redfin as the iPhone like closed universe system, and then we've got some open,
like an Android type,
type thing where anybody could, you know, sort of help participate. But I feel like that's where we're headed. You know, so. I feel like that that's going to have really interesting changes and challenges for real estate tech vendors, for brokerages who want to have tech, and all of those things.
So so what do we need to be as technologists? What do the technologists need to be looking out for? What do the realtors need to be looking, like, you know, if we're thinking about the future, right? How do we future-proof?
Well, I suppose the answer depends on what you want as technologists, right? So like, does BoomTown one day want to go public and be Zillow, be the platform? If that's the case, then y'all need to raise a lot more money and start buying companies. That's seriously, that's
and that's speaking not just to BoomTown, but
anybody,
the other platform
players. I don't care who. If you want to be a platform play, you better go raise a ton of money and start buying up everybody.
Okay.
You know who's doing that now? Is CoreLogic. They're buying up all these different companies. Who's the one they just bought? The CRM, Real Geeks?
No, that's not CoreLogic. That's Fidelity.
Oh, Fidelity. I'm sorry.
Fidelity's buying.
You know what I mean? Like, you need to be that. If you're not that, then I almost feel like you need to specialize.
Right. Hyper-specialize.
Hyper-specialize and be like the best of breed in that little niche and get picked up by one of the platform players.
Right.
So it sort of depends on what you want. I mean, if you're a smaller startup, you know, like you just raised your Series A.
Good luck.
No, it's like, you know, man, you better just focus.
Yeah.
You know, like, what we do
right.
is the, you know, realtor shoe, and we have a beacon in the shoe to track. Man, be real good at that.
Well, you know, and we're seeing a little bit of that actually with companies like like Agent Legend or Call Action, if you're familiar with them.
Call Action is a great example.
Right?
Yeah, they do that one thing.
There's one little piece that there's a problem of immediate and the engagement piece of the lead. Another one is, I think has a little bit of promise, is pre-close. If you're familiar with them, they're just trying to take some of the headache out of and add transparency to that contract to closing phase. That is the worst part of the transaction. Where you're like, every day it's going to fall apart. Right? You know, so there are some players that are coming in and saying, what about this little sliver? Right. But
No,
then again, those will just get sucked up by another company.
But that what I'm saying is then you have to think I have an exit strategy. Right. And that's how you get successful.
All right. So
but
how
from
do you
a
future-proof
realtor
the realtor?
So I guess I feel like if the choice is technology or relationships, man, you better do relationships because you ain't gonna do tech. No,
you rely on tech. You have tech.
It's a tool
to do better with your
relationships, right? I mean, don't. So at this point, I almost feel this way. I know you have to have a website.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like everybody needs, like, you know, that dry cleaner needs a website. That tanning salon needs a website. I get it. Yeah. But do you need IDX? Right. You know, do you need?
You need IDX if you want to go into the lead gen game.
Right. But if it's about relationships, do you even need? Like, I don't know.
Well, I look at it as you have a good, strong CRM that has your database, which is where your relationships live. Right. You use the CRM to allow you to understand your relationships better and who you should be calling and provide intelligence against your relationships. Sure. If you want to grow, you need lead gen. You can't sphere your way into growth at scale. Right.
See, I hate that word scale. Okay. Because I don't know how that applies to a professional services business. It's like saying, let's scale the law firm. Well,
well, let's just say I want to add 2 new agents.
Okay.
Then you're going to have some way if they're not bringing a book of business.
Why would you add them?
You want to make more money?
If they're not bringing a book of business, why would you add them?
Okay. Good point.
And if you are adding them because they have a book of business, then your partners, aren't you?
Sure.
I mean, one of the things I'm working on right now is Sonny and I came up with this sort of brokerage model that is essentially like following the law firm. Okay. We have partners and employee associates, and then that model actually does make a ton of money, and I think that's the ultimate future, along with Redfin 100% shops in this.
But that's still relational.
But that's all relational, and there's no scale. You know what I mean? Like the way you scale is the way you would scale a law firm. You add partners.
You add partners, and you increase your price points.
You increase your price point, and you have associates that are, you know what I mean? Like that's how you make your money, and that's how you scale. But it's all based on relationships, and that can't be beat, right?
Right.
That actually cannot. It's
like we're still humans. So until we're robots, relationships.
And technology can go. I mean, so obviously lawyers, law firms are afraid of guys like LegalZoom and stuff like that.
Sure.
But again, the whole same thing with iBuyers go into place, right? Right. If you're a lawyer and you're afraid that your client is going to use LegalZoom instead of you, that's not a client. That is not a client. You do not have the relationship you think you have.
Right. Well, you know, I would say my concerns and would be the valid concerns of any technology company in the space are a contraction of the actual workforce, the realtor population, because obviously they're the ones that power our business. Right. So a massive downturn could cost any of us lots of clients, and at the same time, companies like Zillow could lose a lot of advertising dollars. I mean, that the realtor population being affected by forces, as we just said, that they don't have any control over, affects a lot of us immensely.
Wouldn't you just raise prices though?
You could raise prices, but you know, maybe if people aren't buying houses and that contraction and people don't have the money, I mean, you know, can you just raise prices? I mean, you can. Can you keep clients? I don't know.
I don't know.
You know, I think that the people that are not thinking about an ecosystem-based type of technology infrastructure for their company or for their as a broker, they need to shift the way they're thinking. and the companies, you know, that are not thinking, the ones one system to rule them all type of thinking has got to go away.
It's got to go, and the problem is, how do you force cooperation? Right?
Yeah, and I still see it. You know, I'm on the ground, you're on the ground a lot with people that are kind of just now getting online. Yeah. Right? Just now kind of like, oh, okay, maybe I do need a CRM. And then there's the ones that are like, wait, maybe I do need a CRM that actually will tell me things about my data, right? Yeah. Not just a place to hold my data, but like an intelligent, because if you think about it, like the database is just a place for the data to live. Right. The CRM is what lives on top of it, right?
And then we have the problem of that database, right? Like, for the industry for 50 years, that database was the MLS. Yep. And brokers are now starting to be like, I need my own database. Right. Well, you know, there's all sorts of issues around that too, which is all the pain around upstream and MLS and all that jazz. But yeah, I don't, like, I really feel like there's a real opportunity in real estate tech to get into the systems integrations business.
In what way?
Like, why don't we have a systems integration company? You know, in other words, a tech company that doesn't produce any of its own products.
Oh, right.
They just make other products work together.
Right. No, I think that's coming. Right. Because there's plenty of people that do that for Salesforce. Right. You know,
Accenture.
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
exactly.
This has been the thing for, you know, in corporate America for 2 decades, 3 decades.
Right. I think that's absolutely on the horizon. If the companies are moving in that direction to where that's how you operate,
you have to.
Then you have to have either an internal technologist that knows how to do it, and nobody's going to be able to hire. They can't afford it, for one. No. And there's just not enough people out there that are going to go work internally at a real estate brokerage to be their internal system integration technologist.
And if they would, are they any good?
Right. These are the people that are haggling over a $500 Facebook budget. It's like, listen, you're not going to be able to afford the $200,000 system integration person in the Silicon Valley.
And that's still one guy.
Right, just the one guy.
Yeah, and you might need a team.
Right, and the people that come to us and say, well, you know, I'm going to do my own marketing, and I'm going to I'm like, well, you realize that you should probably just stop doing what you do then, because that's a full-time job. And I say, well, I'm just going to build a team. It's like, well, let's think about that. Yeah. Paid search specialist, paid social specialist, content writer, technologist, SEO, PR. You're talking $300,000 in a town like this. Right. Right? Not in a town like San Francisco or Austin or Atlanta. Right? So why not pay $2,000 a month to BoomTown and you get all of it? Right. It just doesn't make any sense to me. And I think a lot of people are starting to see that, though. Right? They're starting to wake up.
Right. And I think the issue is, you know, the brokerage world has to start consolidating. You know, they don't have enough money.
The SMB brokers.
Even big brokers, right? I mean, what's their actual profit margin? Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, this one of the secret, like, it's not even a secret. Everyone knows it. We talk about it, right? We just don't talk about it, right? Which then most brokerages, large ones, run their brokerage operations as a loss leader.
Yes. Right.
They in order to generate leads off of affiliated businesses. So I'm like, well, crap. I mean,
and then they run from the one thing that is making money, which is teams.
Right.
You know, and
because they don't make any money from the teams.
Right, but they can.
No, they can't.
They can. You know, I think it's just how you structure your business, and if you have the good I was talking to Travis Robertson, if you know Travis.
I know Travis.
And he's been pushing this whole thing that don't fear the team. Either you know, let them assimilate in, and it's all about
embrace them. The problem is, how are you going to get them to pay you? What are you doing for them that a team wants to voluntarily give you $30,000?
Right. I think he would say that why not you as the broker provide that full infrastructure support of transaction management?
With what money?
With the money that so that the team itself doesn't have to have that as a part of the team.
I think you can do that, but think about your clients who are team leaders. Mm-hmm. How much they want to rely on the brokerage? How much they want to put their client information in the broker CRM database? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, so.
No, and I think that's the same reason a lot of some unnamed products at scale are having trouble, because the agents and brokers don't want to give their data all the way up to the corporate level.
No, because
and that's why they come to somebody like us, because they say, I don't care if I change franchises 5 times.
Right.
I'm taking my data with me, right? And it's your leads. We don't care.
Right. And that's the problem I have with the whole embrace the team thing. It's like, fine, embrace away. Problem is, they're not embracing you back.
Right.
So how are you justifying this 20% split?
Right.
For that, the agent teams, they're not coming at 20%. Like, there's
no,
more like 5, maybe 10.
Right. That's what I said, maybe 5.
But still,
right. You're giving them an office. Right.
But still, 5%. You know, if you're doing
better
$1 million,
than 3.
But if you're doing $1 million, like that's $50,000.
Yeah.
Like what have you done for me that I'm gonna pay you $50,000?
Right.
Like, well, I'm gonna give you all this technology. I don't want your technology. What else you got? I'm gonna
already have
training.
my technology.
I don't need any training. I've been in this business longer than you. I'm better than you. I don't need any training. What else you got? You know.
But then doesn't the team leader then need to become a broker? Right? I mean, at some point you have to in order legally to make it all work.
I'm telling you that I see it coming. I see it coming. Like when the bubble bursts, right? And okay, fine. Maybe Greenville, South Carolina is not in a bubble. Okay.
It's pretty
Houston,
hot here.
Houston is maybe not in a bubble. Okay. Silicon Valley is definitely in a bubble.
Absolutely.
San Francisco, without question, is in a bubble.
Austin
LA,
is in a bubble.
Orange County, San Diego, bubble.
Yeah.
When that bursts, the last Attorney General of California became a senator. The current Attorney General might be going, I want to be senator one day.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't I make a name for myself by going after this greedy realtor problem? What do you think he'll find when he starts digging? These agent teams, you know, where they're breaking labor laws. Team leaders that aren't brokers but acting like brokers.
Right.
Or
milking,
right?
Making all the money.
Yeah. I mean, you don't think? I'm like, there's gonna be some kind of backlash that comes out of that.
It's true. It's possible.
It's possible, and then what?
Well, everything's there for them to go in and exploit for their own.
Right, right. Because politicians don't care about realtors; they care about them getting elected. So
exactly.
You know, so I feel like we're in this really weird place. But the brokerage need to figure that out. My solution is fairly straightforward. It's like, you're never gonna have the agent give you their data unless they own the firm.
Mm-hmm.
So make them owners. That's the actual solution to this.
So there's your legal partner.
Right, that's the law firm.
They work their way up to ownership.
Right. Because you're a big enough rainmaker. And then they don't mind putting it in because they own the damn company.
Is anybody doing that now?
Nope. But I'm trying. I'm trying to get them to. That's my future of real estate. Yeah.
But you're also trying to make MLSs public, right?
No, I'm trying to make them private.
Right, okay.
Get the MLSs to divorce the association and become a for-profit entity that makes money, you know, for the association shareholders.
Sure.
Talk about, like, why did I choose that particular field? Glutton for punishment.
I was going to say, you're stuck now, right? We're all in too deep.
The thing is, though, I mean, at the end of the day, you know, there's some, like every industry, there's some bad apples. Yeah. But the thing that I find is just so great about real estate is that the people are just so awesome.
Yes,
they really are like salt of the earth.
Yes.
You know, I mean, I am a lawyer by training, and I worked in technology. I've done consulting for other industries, and only in real estate do you get a handwritten thank you note from the client.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they're just so.
And if they would just embrace that, truly embrace the relationship.
Yeah.
That's how they future-proof.
And that's kind of what I feel like is, you know, we understand that the people who are really good at this, who have kind of the profession in mind, who work that way, you know, who really do care for clients, we got to figure out a way to protect them. You know, we do.
Because that's good for the consumer.
That is good for the consumer. That's good for society. You know, that's good for the country. That's good for everybody. So we just got to figure out how to empower and protect them. And unfortunately, it probably does mean that the dominant business models of the industry right now, which are all headcount based, need to change.
Yeah.
That needs to go away.
Well,
you know,
I think it's a good. I think that's actually a good ending.
Yeah.
Thanks, Rob.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, man. We'll see you guys soon. Thank you.